I am here with Sam Biszantz, one of the 10 candidates running for the Vail Town Council in the upcoming election. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
Let's start. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to get to know you a little bit better. Briefly, tell us about yourself.
Well, let's see. Okay, so I grew up in San Diego, California. I grew up coming here skiing with my family. All the usual vacations in summer, this and that. And then after college, I moved here. And yeah, same story as everyone. I never left. I tried to leave twice, but ended up coming back because this is the best place on earth. And currently now, I own 2 restaurants in Vail Village. One is Two Arrows Coffee and Bar, and the other one is Root and Flower. And I'm running for town council, I guess.
That's good segue.
Okay.
What made you want to run for council?
Well, I've been involved for a long time. I would say 8 years. I've had pretty serious involvement in our local government. So I served 6 years on the Commission on Special Events and then have been off of it for 2 years now, where I've had the chance to focus a little bit more on broader issues. But my reason for being involved in general, whether that started 8 years ago or today, is because number one, I want Vail to be the best it can be. And number two, I think I have a very good voice to be able to represent the people who make this town go round. I think Vail has become a pretty diverse place, the valley, I should say, from income levels to ethnicities, this and that. But I think one thing that a lot of us have in common is that we chose to be here, and we have to fight to be here. Well, the people I'm representing, I would say, have to fight to be here. And so I think just continuing, my goal on council would be to work to continue the legacy of people moving here, falling in love with it, and then figuring out how to stay, and just continuing to make that a possibility.
So you partially answered what I was going to ask you, but I'm going to get more specific on this. The question I was going to ask is, have you been politically active in town before running for council? And you already talked about the CSE. Mm-hmm. But the town, Vail, is great in that there's a lot of opportunity for public engagement. Yes. And recently we did the Vail Stewardship Sustainability Plan. We've done Vail 2020 in the past, Vail Tomorrow. Have you ever been involved in any of those facilitated town engagement situations? Yes. So the Vail Stewardship plan, I guess, that happened basically all of last year, it felt like.
I feel like I went to every one of those meetings. I know I wasn't invited to all of the smaller segment breakout groups, but I went to 3 of them, plus all the general meetings. And one of the things that was most exciting for me about being involved in that was when I went to, I believe it was June 27th, when I went to that meeting, they showed the demographic stats, and it was like under 34, only 9%. They were on the age group under 34 had only represented 9% of the participants in the survey. And then myself and a few other friends on social media did a huge post about like, hello, Vail people, like, please get involved. This is going to shape our future for what they're saying, 10 years, right, maybe longer. So then on the August 7th meeting, that number actually doubled. So it went from 9% to 18% of participants were under the age of 34. And miraculously, it 100% flip-flopped the priorities of the stewardship plan. So lack of workforce, get this, lack of workforce housing was the bottom, literally the last priority on June 27th. And then after the young people started engaging, lack of workforce housing went to number 1, which is just so cool. And it proves that my age group especially just needs to know that it's possible to make a difference, and they need the information to be presented to them in a way that's easy to understand and makes it feel accessible, I guess.
Right.
Because not everyone is standing up at council meetings like me.
Even though it's easy to be engaged, it's really hard to be engaged if you don't know that there are opportunities for engagement.
Correct. Yes.
So quickly, what is your elevator pitch why somebody in town should vote for you?
Vote for me specifically, I would say because I have done what I think a lot of business owners and generally speaking leaders throughout the Valley should do. I think we're kind of at a place where you feel like it feels like you need to either be like business oriented or like culture focused, and I've proven with both of my business that you can do both at the same time. So I've created successful businesses that provide a lot of culture, maybe too much some nights, to the town. And also along with that, I've created ownership opportunities for people that work for me, manager opportunities, travel experiences, health insurance, safety, support, all those things that make young people think, wow, Vail is a place I could live forever. Like there's a possibility for me to be able to actually live here and buy a home. My co-owner, she like probably never thought it was possible, but she bought a home last year, and she started with a espresso machine in my bar as a pop-up. And now she's a co-owner of a thriving business on Wall Street in the Village.
You might have said this before, but when did you move to Vail?
2009.
And what brought you here in 2009? Besides you'd been vacationing, you knew Vail, what brought you here to make you move?
So I was in San Francisco after school for like 10 months and was working in hospitality at a hotel in the Tenderloin. If you know San Francisco, you know that's an interesting experience. And anyway, so I was working at this hotel front desk, and all my friends were in more of the 9-to-5 world. So they'd all be doing happy hour. Friday, Saturday nights were huge party nights. And I was getting up at like 7 a.m. or having to be at work at 7 a.m. and working till 11 p.m. on Fridays. So I knew I wanted to be in hospitality, but I didn't fit into the 9-to-5 San Francisco life my friends were on the track of. So I was like, where could I go that would promote that sort of lifestyle? And I was like, oh, maybe I should go to Vail for the winter. So I had no idea how long I was going to stay, but I got my first job. I was a concierge at the Ritz in Bachelor Gulch. And then tried to leave right after that winter, came back 2 months later, and basically never left.
Yep, here you are. What neighborhood are you in?
I'm in Intermountain.
In Intermountain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any newcomers in the neighborhood, or have you noticed any difference? There's a lot of talk of the post-pandemic demographic shifts. Have you noticed any of that?
I would say, I don't know if I've noticed newcomers, but I would say I've noticed oldcomers. I don't know.
People spending more time here.
Well, I've noticed my old friends who used to live, I have way less friends who used to that live in the neighborhood. They've all moved down Valley, basically. And their houses are now rented out by, I don't want to make generalizations, but I do know of a few examples that they're rented out short-term, or by people who live in Denver, or this and that. But I don't notice newcomers, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the last issue, or maybe not even the last issue, what is one issue in the town of Vail that gets your blood boiling, and what do you want to do about it, and what have you done about it?
Gets my blood boiling. Where do I start? Let's see.
Just pick one.
I know. Let's see here. I'm going to avoid the Booth decision because at this point I feel like it's really in the hands of the court, and my personal opinion on it is until I am able to listen to all of the executive session tapes, I really can't make an informed judgment. Mm-hmm. So I want to throw that one out there, even though I know that's a very obvious answer. I would say right now the thing I'm most, I guess, kind of irked about is the Dobson plan and the TIF funding. I just feel like Like I hear these numbers, 57 million, 52 million, it keeps going up every meeting. And then they're like, we're gonna save the exterior walls of Dobson. And I'm like, why on earth? Like, what about the exterior walls are worth saving? If anything, I would consider the beautiful log roof, right? And I just feel like because of the ticking time clock of the TIF funding money.
Tax incremental financing.
Sorry, yes. That will expire in 2030. I feel like we're making a rather hasty decision, which is unfortunate because we are being put in this position because of past councils not making a plan. But I just feel like I really do think there would be a way to develop that whole civic area that would be much more forward-looking and visionary versus just sort of improving what we already have. It doesn't feel like anything is going to really change after the remodel they're looking at now.
To go the opposite side of boiling blood, when your blood is boiling, what do you do to calm down? And what amenities and things do you do in your spare time? When you're not working at 2 restaurants and sitting on town boards, what do you do for fun?
It depends on the season. It's one of my favorite parts about living here. We get to have like split personalities. Summertime, I love playing with my ladies at the Eagle Vail Golf League. It's super fun. And then I also love hiking and going on the river. Wintertime, I love skiing, obviously. And then all the time, I would say most helpful to lower my blood boiling is yoga. I love doing yoga. It's very good for me.
Very good.
Cooking. I love cooking.
Perfect. What you brought up short-term rentals as one of the issues, and that's definitely something that I hear about a lot. What do you think of the current regulations, which was definitely a step up from the total laissez-faire, no regulations that we had? What do you think about those regulations? Do you own a short-term rental or a long-term rental in the town of Vail?
No. Well, no, but my house is deed restricted. So
You live in a deed restricted. Oh, I should have asked that. That's a good.
So I bought it deed restricted actually. I'm one of those crazy people. Back in the day that was like, ugh. But I bought it 10 years ago knowing I was going to live in it and I didn't really care.
Right. So what do you think, without getting into too many details on, but what do you think of the current short-term rental regulations and what do you think potentially needs to be changed?
I think that across the board, like Telluride just came out with a short-term rental study a couple weeks ago. It was like kind of embarrassing how lax, I guess I should say, our regulations are in comparison. Like, they have all the other ski towns across and it's like Vail at the bottom, which is just kind of depressing. I feel like we're really behind the 8 ball. But I would say short-term rental regulations need to adequately reflect their cost to the community, like their actual cost to the community. I do not think that an annual $260 fee reflects that. I pay more than that as a business owner for my business license, and I think a lot of the short-term rental owners are treating their homes like businesses. So it's very complex. There's not going to be a blanket approach to fix it, but I do think that there would be ways for us to figure out if it's operated like a business, you pay at least the business license fee, or more, maybe. There's a million ideas, and it is going to be a very complex solution, which I'm open to working on and excited about. I think it sounds like a fun challenge. But generally speaking, I think that we have to, every day that goes by that there's not something done is another day that someone in my age group especially is moving away. I think the missing middle, I'm calling it, I don't know if that's an actual term, but like the 28 to 44 range that keeps moving away because they can't dream of a life here, or like, God forbid, getting a dog. I think that every day that goes by that we do not make some sort of step in the direction of increasing long-term rentals, we are losing really valuable people that should be the future of this place, right, but don't have the chance.
So we're approaching the end
Okay.
of our time together. although there will be another opportunity coming up on September 26th that the candidate forum put on by the Vail Chamber and Business Association, sponsored by the Vail Board of Realtors, coming up, an opportunity for you to address directly to the voters. But here's one of those opportunities that you have. So what would you say to the voters on why they should vote for you? Give you one last chance to do that, and then we'll move on.
Oh gosh, I should have this prepared. I would say, I really think that my experience, like I want to do basically what I've done at my 2 businesses for the town, the whole valley, you know what I mean? So make the dream possible. And I've done that, and I want to keep doing it on a broader scale. I think I'm also maybe sometimes too much like this, but I think a fiscally responsible candidate who also, like this sounds crazy, but this is me to a T, is like I'm a fiscally responsible candidate who also likes to have fun. And I think we need a little bit of that. We need all of that. We need people with smart heads on their shoulders who can make database decisions rather than personal ones. We need people who want to build partnerships rather than punish people, this and that. I would do all of those things and also really try to throw some fun in there too.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam. Really appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you on the 26th and seeing your signs all about town.
Sounds good, thank you.